3, 2, 1. Stay gold. Oh man, this is a good one. This one, I'm telling you. I don't know how long this is going to be, but this is still important nonetheless, since we're kind of going under the narrative of starting from scratch. Using that, I don't want to say narrative, but using that premise. Yeah, that's better. Using the premise of starting from scratch. This is going to be really good. Now, obviously, building game is a very time-consuming thing. I will say that first and foremost, especially when you're building it from scratch. But let me tell you something about starting from scratch. That's actually probably the best advantage out there. You have no experience, which that could be the biggest advantage that you have, because you're not exposed to the stuff yet that can change either you or the way that you move and act. And then number 2, you have an empty canvas. Look at all the space you have. All the space to put all these different pieces together, to fill up the canvas, to fill up that piece of paper. Think of a piece of printer paper, right? Which those are probably going to go extinct in the next 20 years. But look at a piece of printer paper. It's completely empty. It's nothing but empty space. You can print whatever you want to fill that space up. That is what it's like building game from scratch. That is what it's like building anything from scratch. When we all were born as empty canvases, empty pieces of paper. We didn't have an identity yet. Yeah, we were alive, but the second you were born, you start dying. The clock just starts ticking immediately. There isn't a grace period. And then you're born. Yes, you may be born into the arms of your mother, or probably the doctor, if I'm going to be honest. But you still enter this world alone. And then you will more likely leave this world alone, right? So throughout your life cycle, that piece of paper is going to get filled up, whether you're doing it or whether it's being filled up, subconsciously, unintentionally. Kind of think of it like the things that are automated in your body. Like when you walk, you don't think of right leg, left leg. It's automated. When you breathe, it's automated. You aren't thinking about breathing in and out. It just happens. Your heartbeat, you aren't thinking, okay, beat heartbeat. It just happens, right? It's kind of like that with a piece of paper. As you experience more things in life, you get more life experiences. Information is put on that piece of paper. Maybe some pieces of paper are bigger than others. Maybe it's just an infinite piece of paper because you never stop learning. But the point is, you can apply this to game. It's just like that with game. And before you even try to build game, I'm going to tell you right now, you can go look at as many videos as you want. You can look at all of the dating coaches you want. You can look at all of the videos that I make on dating. It does not matter in comparison to experience. Okay? You can put a scholar who spent 20 years studying how to fight against somebody who spent 20 years actually fighting, and that scholar is going to lose every single time. You see that stuff in anime all the time. There's this prodigy that's never been in a fight before, and they fight somebody with 20, 30, 40, 50 fights worth of experience, 60 fights worth of experience, and they just destroy them. With no knowledge, with no actual experience fighting. They're just a natural, right? In real life, that's still possible, but not to the extremes that you see in fiction or different medias and TV shows and stuff. You can, what I'm saying with all of that, you can put that and apply it to game. You can spend 10 years or those of you that are around my age, you can spend all your high school years studying game. Who cares? It means nothing because it's not applied. And when I say it means nothing in the face of opportunity. This is why it's important to actually get the experience first. That's why I'm covering that first, of building game from scratch. And then I'm going to tell you the things that you need to expect especially when you're starting from the beginning. This is not saying that it's guaranteed to happen. Maybe as a male, you're perceived as being more good looking than me. Maybe you are more good looking than me. Maybe you are taller than me. Maybe you've got more size on you than me. You know, you're stockier, you're bulkier, your body type. Maybe you have, you know, the V waistline. You know, the whole endomorph, ectomorph, and all that stuff. Those body types. Maybe your voice is deeper than mine. Maybe your voice carries more than mine. Maybe your mannerisms are different. Maybe this is what makes people different, especially males. And females, they will always weigh their options. I don't care if she's been with you for 10 years. She'll always weigh her options, and you're always going to be compared to other males. That's just how Mother Nature set it up to be. And that is what pushes males to go further. I don't care if you say that you do all this stuff for yourself. That's what they say. If that's what they say, and that's what they want to trick themselves into believing, that, you know, they make themselves look all pretty or purty, you know, they get themselves to a level where they're purty instead of pretty, and they say to go to the gym and all they do is squats, all they do is legs, they only focus legs, they don't focus upper body. Some of them might do legs and the stomach region, and then they get the results and they say, yeah, I did all this for me. Like you don't enjoy the benefits of having males basically drool over you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you wanted, and you went out and you put the work in to get it. That's what I don't understand. Like I understand it, but at the same time, I guess I don't understand why it makes sense to them. You know, why are you tricking yourself into thinking that all of this stuff, like, I'm not going to go on this for too long, but I guess there could be some females watching this. I mean, the same thing applies to them. Like when you're new to the dating and stuff, you've more than likely had a head start. You probably started at a very young age. You know, you probably were around people that were teaching you things, showing you things. And the difference between females and males, they don't really need this video. They've been practicing since they were really, really young. Okay, think back, all the males, think back to all those times when you were so little, you just didn't know why things happened the way that they did with girls. You stop back, you think, you don't even know why you're fighting your friend over a girl that both of y'all like. You just don't get it. You have to just learn it the hard way, and I'm going to tell you what the hard way is. But in regards to females and stuff, with like the reason why they do the things they do, some of the things, of course, is for the attention. That doesn't make it bad. And then when they go to the gym and they're like, okay, I want my body to be better than what it is now. I respect that. And then they get the results, and then they reap the benefits of the results. There's nothing wrong with that either. The time was put in, the effort was put in. Is their ego going to go up a lot more? Yes, it is. Makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I'm not a girl, I'm not a female, I'm a male, right? But I don't know about you. If I was like a 5 or a 6 before I started hitting the gym, and I hit the gym and I changed my physique, and now I'm like an 8 or a 9, I probably would get a little more confident too, because you know you have it. That ties into the video that I made not too long ago. When you know that you have something versus faking you have something, is two completely different things. You got fake confidence. You get called out on it, that's it, you're done. Versus when you really have it, you're not shakeable, because you got it in your mind. You've seen, you have the proof, you know that you have it. And I'm saying that because it's important, because when you're building game, especially from scratch, it's good to know that lies catch up. If you're faking all this confidence, you're faking all this money, you're faking all of this value, it's going to catch up to you eventually. Whether or not you care, that's up to you. But once she catches on that you're a liar, she's probably not going to trust you. She's probably not going to trust anything you say, and she's probably not going to take you seriously. Because if you lie about things like this, in her mind, what else are you going to lie about? And even with like faking the confidence, once you start getting tested by a female, you're going to fail. Every time you're going to fail. The reason why you're going to fail is because you don't have it in your core. You just slapped it on like a backpack. Backpacks can be taken off. You put it on like a shirt. It's not your actual skin. You aren't developing thick skin. You aren't honing your body. You're just putting armor over it. Once that armor is gone, you're completely exposed. And you're extremely vulnerable. Now, of course, if you want to choose to, feign you want to feint confidence, which feint just basically means like, it's mostly associated with combat. Like you go for a punch and you feint with your left arm. So they think you're going to punch them with your left arm, but you pull back. You pull the punch back and you punch with your right arm. That's an example of a feint that I can think of right now. But you're putting up this image that's not real. It works. It works. I've seen it work. But I've also seen it fail. It's like very delicate glass. It's like, and depending on how you tint it, depends on whether it's going to work and how long it's going to work. But when you go into dating, the number one thing you need to know when you're building your game as a male, you better get used to rejection. Yeah, I know. All the people who expected me to say that. Listen, I'm going to tell you why you need to be ready for rejection. Listen, it's basically a fact that when, like, in the case of females, most of them don't do the approach because it's extremely stressful. It's extremely anxiety. It produces a lot of anxiety. It's an uncertainty. And uncertainty can bring fear and paranoia because they don't know the outcome. Am I saying that they're wrong for that? No. It's kind of not meant for the female to make the approach. I mean, if a girl was to walk up to me, and I'm saying this because you'll always get these numbskulls, right, that just want to add stuff to what you're saying and make it worse than what it seems. But if I had a girl walk up to me and she approached me and started talking to me, I'm not going to look at her like a guy. She's a female still at the end of the day. Like, just because she walked up to me doesn't mean that she's all of a sudden she's a male. Can it be argued that it's male-like characteristics? I guess. I don't see it like that. But if she were to walk up to me and then she wanted to talk to me and she's showing interest, I'm still going to treat it just like any other situation. The only difference is she made the approach. Right? But as a male, you're expected to do the approach. You're expected to do a lot of things, okay? You're expected to do a lot of work. And the point of the matter is, it's unavoidable. You're going to have to do it. If you want the results, if you want the girls that you want, especially if you want to sleep with the girls, you're going to have to work. Now, there's a difference between reasonable work and then overdone work, or pretty much just doing everything, right? But there is a certain level of work that you have to put in before she becomes invested and she decides to actually start trying to. That's just how it is. And part of that is making the approach. Now, if you do an out of nowhere approach and, she wasn't signaling for you to basically approach her, you're probably going to get rejected almost every single time. Because look at it from her perspective. She wasn't paying attention to you at all. She wasn't inviting you at all. And then here you are in front of her face. It's probably going to annoy her. And I can give so many examples of me doing that. right? Versus when she's, glancing at you, looking at you, she's giving you hints and signs that she wants you to approach. That's what it's like with females. You get signs. She's not going to outright tell you. You got to read between the lines, or you got to pick up on the body language or the social cues or the invitations that she gives you. She's almost never going to approach you. I'm telling you. And if she does, you've probably been talking to her anyways for a while, especially if she's a classmate. Y'all probably worked on a project before, so like the first interaction already happened. The mold was already broken. The ice was already broken. So knowing that, when you make the approach, listen, just because she's doing all of these things does not mean that she's going to say yes. You will probably still get a no. Okay? But instead of getting angry at the girl, instead of getting resentful to the girl, instead of becoming hateful towards the girl and venomous, okay? Listen, I'm trying to have you calm, cool, stress-free. You live longer that way. You gray slower that way. You bald probably slower that way. Okay? Instead, you need to just understand. Listen, I know it's hard, okay? I know it's hard. But you don't have any game yet. Even if you have game, you still can get rejected. It's how you handle that rejection that can speak volumes. There's so many messages within there's subcommunication. There's literally messages in messages. And then there's principles behind words. There's so much that goes into this. So much. And I know for a fact that I'm always going to be learning. And am I ever going to leave? Probably not. In the sense of like, I guess you could say the dating scene. So the stuff that I'm telling you is probably going to be concurrent. It's not going to be something that happened like 3 years ago. And if it did, it probably is still relevant. And I'm just bringing it up as an example. But just know that you can make the approach with all of the positives that I mentioned. She's looking at you. It's a bonus if she's looking at you and she's twirling her hair. Okay? I know that might not make sense to some of you, but when she's like fidgeting with herself, her fingers, like she's like fidgeting with her fingers, or fidgeting or twirling her hair, like playing with her hair, like she's got her fingers in her hair. She's floofing her hair, if that's what it's called. Like when they either take one hand or they take both hands and they kind of like pull their hair up and it kind of like floofs, then it floofs back down. If she's playing with her hair or fidgeting, don't be a weirdo about this one. But if she's fidgeting with her feet even, like, her feet, like she can't keep still. Like she's kind of being nervous, but it's not the uncomfortable. Well, it probably, let's be honest, it probably is like a little bit of uncomfortable energy, but it's not from like you creeping her out. She's basically getting butterflies in her like system, right? That's a good thing. There's obviously, it's nervousness that's coming from attraction, not from you being a creep. Okay? I don't want any of you staring at a girl like, and don't overdo the stuff that I'm telling you to pay attention to. Don't make it obvious that you're just like laser focusing on these things. Listen, I've made that mistake before. Was I trying to do it? No. But nobody wants to feel like they're under a microscope, okay, or under a magnifying glass. It makes them feel uncomfortable. I was learning, I used to do a thing where I would hold eye contact, but I would really hold eye contact. Like I would blink and stuff, but like it was eye contact. Let's just say that. And like I'm talking to you normally and stuff, but I just don't break eye contact. I stopped doing that too. That's another thing some of you all might do accidentally. Pay attention to that next time you talk to not just a girl, but even males, even guys. I would even do it with like my dad. And it could be interpreted as like a challenge or something like that. Even with other males, it's a male thing, okay? It's just like animals, how you don't look certain animals in the eyes. If you're holding eye contact with people, it can get intimidating. And some people might have an aggressive reaction to that, or they might feel creeped out. But anyways, as I was saying, you can get all of these things. All of these things. She's looking at you. If it's very easy to see blush on her, if her skin isn't, dark and stuff, like it's a little harder to tell. I don't really know about that. Like, I'm not too like, apparently, like, everyone blushes, but it's easier to see in some people than others. Okay. And I'll just leave it at that. That's another thing you can look for, but it's not one size of a shoe fits everything type of thing. Some people blush when they're embarrassed, or some people blush when they're attracted. It's different things. Like, this kind of is why you want to know the person you're dealing with, which is why you need to make the approach. But generally, when it comes down to like inviting, like how she invites you, every time you turn around, she's turning around. You can never catch her looking at you. You just catch her like looking away from you. There's a reason why she keeps looking at you. If there's something in front, like, let me give you a good example, right? I know a lot of you are gamers. If you've got this game in front of you that you're not interested at all, right? No, actually, I got a better example. You go to let's just say GameStop, because everyone knows what that's like for, right? And you're scrolling through like the games. You're cycling through all of the games for the console you have. And you skim through all of the games, but you're in that like section for like 20 minutes. I know that that there's like at least one game that you keep putting your hand on, but you just keep going away from it, and then you keep going back to it, and you keep going away from it, and then you start looking for other games, but you keep coming back to that same game. Clearly you want that game. It's kind of like that with females. She keeps looking at you because she probably is interested. She's not gonna tell you that she's interested though. Like, don't have these expectations that she's just gonna outright, just out of nowhere, especially if she's across the room, she's just gonna be like, let's just use a letter, like, let's just say L. She's like, hey L, I keep looking at you because I want you to talk to me. She's not gonna do that. And honestly, you might see that as a little weird. Maybe. Some of you will probably be like, oh boy, that's great. That makes it easier, but that's just not how it is. Playing with her hair, body language tells you a lot. And then you can kind of just feel it, It's like one of those extra sense things. But even with all of these, you can still get rejected. And it's important that you understand how to handle rejection. It's kind of gotten bad to the point where a lot of girls, they're outright like scared to reject a guy now, because you all react so violently. You all react so aggressively to being turned down. If she doesn't see you as good enough, then god dang it, you're just not good enough. You're not gonna change that perception in that moment in time. She doesn't see you as valuable. Okay, you're not valuable to her. This is why I'm not focusing on dating right now. I want you to understand your own value, to build your own value. That's why I'm talking about the 4 stools. I want to get your mental state strong, your mental fortitude strong, your mental health strong. Then I want to get your body strong. I want you to start sculpting your bodies out into the image you want it to be. And then the social stuff. I want you to learn how to socialize, because up to this point, nobody has taught you properly. They've either taught you something that puts you at a detriment, or they taught you something that makes you look like an idiot, that makes you look incompetent. And no female wants incompetence or idiocy. They don't want that. And number 4, then I want you to start getting resources of your own. I want you to be self-sufficient and able to take care of yourself. You don't need nothing from that guy, and you don't need anything from her. Of course, you probably still want to sleep with her, but that's probably it. That type of stuff. You aren't asking a girl for financial help. I think that's one of the biggest turn-offs to a girl, not just sexually, just in general. Especially the older you get. But the reason why they're so scared to reject a guy now, and this is why a lot of you get ghosted, You see her out, but this is especially prominent in public. It's a lot harder for her to do to you in school or at work because you see each other on a consistent basis, which is probably worse for her in her eyes, and probably for her. But in public, you meet this person for the first time, you're probably never going to see them again after that interaction. So she gives you her number, so it's not a all the way rejection. She's going to give you a cold rejection. That's what I call those. When she gives you, or actually a cold rejection could just be an outright no, but in this, I'll just say for now, this is the ghosting rejection. She basically leaves you slowly. She gives you her number, you go to text her, no response. That's a lot more preferable than her rejecting you in the moment and you possibly get mad. You have got to learn how to accept the word no. You already have been told no for a very long time. It's no different with a female. No means no. Don't push the issue, and all that does is make you look worse and make her feel worse. Not as a person, I'm talking about her comfort level. Okay? And all of this is game, so it's relevant. All of this is game. It ties the game. You can't get mad at her because she doesn't want you. You can't make somebody want you. This is back to what I was saying. You know, I'm starting to say it more and more. Controlling other people's emotions. People feel how they feel. And how you react to how they feel, that's what matters. How you react to getting rejected, that's what matters. That's the first area of game that you should build. Because as you approach more and more, you'll get used to doing that. You'll get comfortable doing that. It's going to be hard at first. But as you do it more and more, you'll get accustomed to it. Just like rejections. It'll get to the point where you're at where I'm at. I could care less if she rejects me. When you go through hundreds of rejections, yes, I've been through hundreds. If I had to gauge it, it's probably like in the 300s. You know, and I'm still, even though I said I'm not focusing on dating, if an opportunity presents itself, I'm still going to go for it. Because you don't know when that next time is going to come, right? Especially for those of you that are droughting, right? But once you handle rejection, you handle it in a calm way, you know, and she sees that, she's probably going to actually take you more seriously afterwards. That doesn't mean she's going to talk to you. That doesn't mean that she's just going to all of a sudden start wanting you, but she's probably going to like you a little bit more, even if she has no intentions of ever dating you. Because she's like, I told this guy I wasn't interested and he actually just walked away from it. Yes, I did. Because it'll be a waste of time and I'm not here to convince you to like me. You either like me or you don't like me. You either want me or you don't want me. You can raise attraction. You can make her want, like, I shouldn't use make, but you can do things that'll make her want you, but it's work. It is work. Time consuming, energy consuming work. And some girls only get attracted to guys like that. I'm not that type of guy. Not anymore. It's a long path to nowhere. I ain't gonna say it's a long path to nowhere. You're over here convincing her. You're basically telling her this is why you should, but not in a dignifying way. And I'm not gonna beg you. I'm not doing it. I don't see you begging to be with me. I'm not gonna beg to be with you either. If you don't like me, cool. I'm gonna keep it moving. But she can't get mad at you for doing that. Like, just like how you can't get mad at her for telling you no and saying I'm not interested or I don't like you, she can't get mad at you for moving on. Because you'll shock, once you get to a point where you're where I'm at, it'll shock some girls how fast you're able. And I've been told, like, a light switch, you flip like a switch. Yes, if that's how you see it. Why am I going to sit here and keep fawning over you? Or why am I going to sit here and be like, oh, but come on, this and a third? No, that's weak. And she sees that as weak. And when she sees you as weak, she either is going to try to step over you, she's going to step on you, or she's just going to lose respect for you. All of the things are going to be negatives. This is a world for the strong. And the weak can make it too, but the weak have limits. Very blatant limits and very restricting limits. The strong, they have access to more. The next thing about building game from scratch is it's going to take a lot of experiences. Aside from the rejections, what you should focus on first is just talking to a girl in general. Me personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with having friends that are female, so long as you're not trying to have sex with them. I know I have girls that are friends. I don't know if they want to have sex with me because they're giving me like friend energy. But I mean, fair enough. I'm giving you friend energy too. I don't want you. I don't want to have sex with you. You know, and in my case, sometimes I want to have sex with the girl at first, but it's very obvious that I'm not going to get that. So I just turn her into a friend that's a girl. That's not a bad thing, especially if like you work with that person or you see them on a consistent basis. Because I'm not going to just cut communications with a girl just because she doesn't want to sleep with me. That's stupid to me. She doesn't want you sexually, so you just don't get, you just completely just throw that person away. You know, I have friends that are female, and maybe once upon a time at the very beginning, I wanted to have sex with them. But it was very obvious that I wasn't going to have sex with them. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't want sex from you anymore. I'll just look somewhere. I'll look elsewhere for it. And then I basically start giving the friend vibe back. There's nothing wrong with having friends that are female. You don't need to have sex with every girl that you talk to. And that's a good place to start. Especially when you're trying to build your game. Practice. You gotta practice. Get you some friends that are female. Get used to talking to a female. And then once you get used to that, now you need to figure out how to bring that sexual vibe. Without being a weirdo, without being really starving, without giving off energy that you're starving for sex, without giving off energy that you're a weirdo on sex, without giving a vibe that you're immature about sex. Just a vibe that you're someone who that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have sex with. That's the type of vibe you want to give off. You want her to think to herself, you know what? I probably could have sex with this guy. He seems like someone I could have sex with. That type of vibe. Not you bringing up all this sexual stuff every 2 seconds, or being immature about it, or being just a weirdo about it, or just being corny about it, being awkward about it. Giving that energy off like you're starving for it and you haven't had it in like a year, 2 years. Or for those of you that are still virgins, that you're clearly a virgin. Best thing you can do if you're a virgin and you're trying to experience sex for the first time. First off, study being safe with sex. First and foremost, do not go in there completely blind. Study safe sex and then learn how to put a condom on the proper way. Know how to store a condom the proper way. Know how to take a condom out the proper way. And for crying out loud, don't put it on the wrong way. Don't put it on backwards. Most of the condoms now, when you go to put them on and you put them on the wrong side, it's obvious, but it's crazy. Condoms are elastic. And when you've got hard rock and you got your iron rod, your dipping stick is now iron, it's really easy to put that condom on the wrong way. You don't put it on backwards. It's inside out. So learn how to put it on the right way. And all I'm gonna say is when you have sex for the first time, just let whatever happens happen, okay? You're going to finish quick. There's no getting around it, okay? Did I finish quick? No. I'll tell that story someday, but I got to be on the right topic to like trigger it. But I didn't finish quick. But fair enough. To be fair, even though I didn't finish quick, you know, just knowing the situation, I was under a lot of like pressure from like the girl, and she just wasn't gonna take no for an answer, and I was like at 60%, maybe that, you know, so I wasn't even fully like. But when you're angst up and you've been looking forward to it, and you've been excited, you're going to pop quick. Okay, just let it happen. There's only one way. There's two ways. You can either do a cream, which I've never done it before, so I can't tell you what's going to happen, but apparently it numbs your nerves. Or you can get one of those very like thick condoms that basically take the feeling away. Or you can do it the hard way and you start thinking about things that don't make you bust quick. But aside from all of that, right? With the sexual energy, think about it. You're a male. You're hardwired to have this stuff. And eventually it's going to become like second nature. Like, to bring that sexual atmosphere without it being weird. It's natural. And it's going to naturally put her in her sexual atmosphere. You just got to learn how not to do it first. That's all. And honestly, what I can say is you want to be careful. You want to be extremely careful with this type of stuff. Anything to do with sexual stuff is a very serious thing. And it's only becoming easier as a male to get prosecuted or get charged or get your life taken away over a sexual act. So even if you get her to the point where she wants you sexually, you need to make sure that you're safe on your side. Okay? Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this and act like it's not happening. It is happening. And if any female or any girl wants to put her input into it, just don't. But all the males out there that have experienced it or have come close to it, listen, you're going to come across it at least one time in your lifetime. Make sure that you cover your bases and protect yourself. She's always going to protect herself first and foremost, and preserve herself first and foremost, even if it's something as petty as an ego. You slightly hurt her ego, and now she's going to make you pay. Screw all that. If you need to get screenshots, if you need to get photos, you get the proof that you got consent and that you didn't force anything and that she wanted it too. Because even with the proof, sometimes it still isn't enough. Okay? So there's going to be risk involved. Just like with everything you do, there's always going to be risk. But you need to make sure that you give yourself a fighting chance at the bare minimum. Give yourself a fighting chance for what comes afterwards. This is why a lot of guys, even though when they don't want to after they have sex with her, they text her afterwards and they basically are like, yeah, I had a good time with you. Like, they make it apparent that something sexual happens so that they can get her to say, yes, I enjoyed it too. So you can't get mad at me. This is why we do this, ladies. This is why we do this, like girls, because so you can't get mad at me and then basically say he touched me and I didn't want him to. He did things to me and I didn't want him to. No. This text message shows that. And for some of you guys that are worried about, well, what if she waits like 6 months or something like that? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It could be 6 years. And if she brings it up again, you during the time, even though it happened 6 years ago, you still had sex with me consensually. You still wanted to have sex with me, and I can still prove it, even though it was 6 years ago. This is why you don't delete your messages. I don't care if you got to put that junk on a flash drive. You don't even talk to the girl no more. You don't know what she's capable of. People are capable of anything. They're capable of saying anything and doing anything. Especially in the name of revenge. But aside from all of that, that's also part of building game. You also want to cover your bases and make sure that you're not putting yourself at a detriment and that you're protecting yourself. Humans are naturally selfish creatures, self-preserving creatures. Okay? Your life ended, but their life goes on. And that's all I'm going to say. Another thing about building game, composure. This is a good one because I have shown you examples of losing composure 2 times in this video, 3 times, I think. Even if it's like me getting more energetic or more, I don't want to say compassionate or passionate, but just getting more energy, getting more lively, right? Like I just did. That's an example of losing composure. There are levels to losing composure. And when it comes down to people, I have not seen myself lose composure with people. I will say first and foremost, I have lost composure with video games. That was the number one thing with me, like inanimate objects, right? Like say you walk through a door and you got like wired earbuds and they get caught on the doorknob and it's like the 3rd time it's happened. So when you take the earbud, you like snatch it away from the doorknob, or you just start like fussing. Basically, you're just fussing out loud. I have done that so many times, especially when I was younger. Oh, the video games. It was bad. It was bad. Would never lose my composure outside of the video. Like when I'm talking to other people, it didn't matter how they treated me. I would feel bad, but I wouldn't get mad at them. You know, so I guess I hold composure naturally. I've always held composure. You know, now, of course, when you talk to people, you can lose communicative composure. So like word composure, you can lose that too. All of a sudden, you're not talking as confident as you were. And that's probably one of the worst composures that you can lose. Your tone changes. Your voice gets higher. You're basically more submissive. You're losing composure. You're more nervous. They can hear the anxiety in your voice. When a couple minutes ago, you were so confident. Then you got called out or you got your card pulled and now you're breaking. You're losing composure. You got bodily composure too. You know, your body posture was composed. Then you start getting weakened. And now your body composure is starting to get weak. Now your body language composure is getting weak. You know, and then of course the composure when you just lose it. You get angry. An emotional response, basically. Somebody ticks you off and you let them know that you ticked them off in a non-composed way. How I'm talking to you right now is pretty composed. This is how I normally am. But then with the example of protecting yourself, I lost composure. You know, I take that very seriously. It's a very serious thing. There's a lot of reasons why I lost composure. There's levels to it. You can have minor losses of composure, or you can just lose composure completely. If you're going to have good game, solid game, especially when you're talking to females or whoever, composure's key. That's probably the most important thing that you can get. As long as you're composed, you can think straight. As long as you're composed, you can act straight. As long as you're composed, you can do right. Because you can do everything right and she still will shoot you down. Like, not literally. She's not going to shoot you down. I hope she doesn't pull out, you know, a toe. Like, I hope not. She doesn't put the metal on you and then shoot you, and that's her way of rejecting you. I hope not. But in most cases, when I say shoot you down, she just, you shot your shot. And she blocked it from going inside of the basket. She packed your stuff, you know? You need to be composed. Handle it in a very composed way. What is composure? It's basically not losing your cool. Not getting angry at not getting what you want. Because it can be embarrassing. Like you're embarrassing yourself. You didn't get what you, this is how you act. Because the way she looks at it, this is how you act when you don't have your way. When things don't go your way. When you don't get what you want. And that's extremely unattractive to her. You're going to need composure for everything you do in this life. And if you want to talk to girls, and if you want to especially like have sex with girls, she's not going to have sex with an uncomposed guy. Because if you lose your composure outside of the bedroom, she can only imagine what it's like once you actually start having sex with her. Because she's also looking at what happens afterwards. And that usually means that you're an insecure guy. So now you're going to start accusing her of stepping out on you, and you're just going to be overly bearing. You aren't going to give her no space. And she doesn't want those problems. And rightfully so. A lot of you guys don't want a clingy girl. You know, you sleep with her and now you just can't get away from her. You know, it becomes overbearing, and composure is very important. When you talk to her, you want to be composed. When you make the approach, you want to be composed. When you look for the invites that she's giving you, you want to be composed. When she starts poking and prodding you, testing you, you want to be composed. She's just testing if you have true composure or not. Otherwise, it's called masculine frame. That's what it's also called. But that's just another fancy word for it. It's basically just composure. When you go out with her, you want to be composed, especially in the first few instances of y'all hanging out. Even on the 50th time of y'all hanging out, you still want to have composure. Because like I said, feelings can change. She's going to react to how you react, to how she reacts. It's always reactions. You know, things that you say, she'll react to. Things that you do, she'll react to. And vice versa. You can't mind control her and make her do things, say things. She does it on her own. All you can do is control what you do. And with good composure, it also takes away a lot of the stress. It's hard. I know it's hard to stay composed sometimes. You really want that girl. You just want to ask her one more time just to make sure. The way I do it, I've done it before. I've done the stupid line. Are you sure? My goofball self, way back then, told me something. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure, past me, that she was sure when she said no. Especially if she didn't have to think twice about it. If she thought about it first and I asked, are you sure? Okay, that makes a little more sense. But it's good to know, that you can stay composed in these stressful situations. Even when you're out, or even when she's just being difficult or being a piece of work. If she knows that she's being a piece of work, she's making it extremely hard for you to hang out with her. That's when you stop putting the effort in. Just put the ball in her court and go do something else. Right? That's the way to look at it. If she's being extremely difficult, don't block her, man. Why are you doing that? Why are you blocking her? Just take it for what it is. Move on. Walk away. That's the best you can do with the female. And she will notice. Those text messages stop. Those check-in messages stop. The calls stop. You walked away. And she knows you walked away. And she probably knows, oh, I teased him for too long. Or, oh, I kept him away too long. Or, oh, I made it too hard for him. We're not asking for it to be easy. We went into the dating game knowing it wasn't going to be easy. But don't make it harder unnecessarily, basically, is what you're saying. But when she's being difficult and not making make it easy. If she likes you, she will make it easy. It will be smooth sailing with her. You set a date, she will literally be like, yeah, this is the day I can do it, this, that, and the third. She will seem eager to hang out with you. When she's not interested in you, but clearly she's getting something out of you, which is why she's sticking around, that's why you want to look at why she's here. Especially if it seems like she's not that interested in you. There's something that you're giving her. You just don't know what it is yet. And when you figure out what it is, probably attention, you take it away. You're not getting anywhere with her. She's going to do the same thing to you, so why are you sparing her of that? She knows she's being difficult. She knows she's making it blatantly hard for you. You're basically telling me everything I need to know. You're not attracted to me. So when I move on, don't sit here and try to look stupid. And don't try to make it seem like I did something wrong. I walked away because you wanted me to walk away. A lot of y'all that have dealt with breakups, and it was like a good 2 years at first, and the third year was just absolute, just double hockey sticks. That's because she didn't want you anymore. So she did things to break up with you. And if you didn't walk away, she ended up walking away because you wouldn't do it. And she just got frustrated enough to where she just did it herself. Move on. I know it's hard. Listen, I could tell you all the different stories. I have like 12 exes that I spent a pretty good amount of time with. Of course, some were more than others. But you need to know. You need to know these things. If she's basically communicating to you, I'm not interested, go away, go away. It's not that hard. This is why I'm trying to get y'all distractions. Find a hobby. Find the boys. Oh, she don't want to go on a date with me Friday? That's okay. I got the boys. We gonna see what we can get into Friday. Because the energy is always going to be different with the boys versus with the girls. The girls have the girls. Like, you know what I mean? When she, like, it's obvious. Once you start taking note of these things, you get all this experience. It's so obvious. All you literally need to do is just walk away. And I know some of you will want to, after a while, you walk away, you get to thinking about her, and then like a couple days later, a few weeks later, heck, if you're just starting out, it could be the same day. The next day, actually. The next day or 2 days later, you text her again. And she still ain't even respond to you, but you text her again. And even if you're doing other stuff, she's looking at it as, you got nothing better to do but text me. You can't get over me. Like, you're still bothering me. That's how she's looking at it, right? More than likely. Versus you look at it the way I look at it, because I had a recent situation like this. I'll tell you, it was last week. I was messaging a girl, and it was just like nothing all the time. Now, of course, I understand what's going on there, and I'm like, okay, like, because I'm basically in the phase where, as a male, I have to do a little bit of the work, a little bit of the what's it called? Initiation. That's the common where I need initiating contact. I gotta do it because it's the beginning. She doesn't care about me at all. She has no reason to care about me at all. And she hasn't slept with me yet at all. So nothing on her part. And the thing about dating is it's kind of funny. It's like investments. Who invests first and who invests the most? Who has the power, who doesn't have the power? It's so stupid, but that's just how it is. A lot of dynamics. But anyways, I was messaging her, and this has been a thing that's been going on for like 2 weeks or something. And where I'm at in my life right now, where I value my time extremely because I am genuinely trying to change my life, and I'm trying to level myself up, I'm trying to improve myself and be a better me, and I'm still taking the time to text these people, to text this girl. She's not the only one, but she's good for this example. When I met her in person, it's a whole lot of good energy. And you all know what I look like if you've seen the videos before these audio ones. I didn't even look like that at the time. I still had my hair, like my hair was spiked or something like that, and I still had like the facial hair. And I didn't have a mask. Some of you don't know that, but I do wear. But that's more so like it's not a paranoia thing. It's just different. But I get her like contact, because that's think about it. That's the only way that you're gonna be able to communicate with this person after that first interaction. So if they don't respond back to your like initiation of contact, you're trying to communicate with them outside that first interaction, you're clearly telling her that you're interested. Okay, you guys got to look and read between the lines and look at all of the subliminal messages you're giving. By texting her number after the interaction, some people say text her the same day you get the number, just so she doesn't forget who you are. That's a good point. That is a really good point. And I do agree. I agree with that, but I also disagree with certain aspects. Like, yes, texting her the same day can work like that so she doesn't forget you. You're fresh in her memory. But then it's like, on the other hand, it's like, dang, I just gave him my number and he's already texting me. Right? But at the same time, you don't want to wait 2 weeks to text her after getting her number. Are you stupid? in that situation. You wait 2 weeks to text her, of course she's not gonna know who you are. She doesn't remember you. It's been 2 weeks, dude. Right? If you text her the next day, that's different. You're still relatively fresh in her mind. I usually text like, well, I've been told I'm a horrible texter, but I usually text like whenever I remember to. I'm like, oh shoot, I got that girl. I forgot to text her or whatever. That type of thing. Like, I don't literally say that, but I'm like, oh yeah, I got her now. I meant to text her. I forgot to. Let me do that. You know, because you're just doing so many different things. It's easy to forget stuff. The more things that you do, the easier it is to forget one of those things, right? So it was that kind of situation. I got her contact. I gave her a little bit of time. I didn't want to text her right away because I don't want to give the wrong message. And I texted her. I think it was like 3 days later or something like that. It was still within text her within the first week of getting the phone number. That's the safest thing I can say. Don't wait 2 weeks, man. That's after you text her. And usually in the first text, you kind of just want to emphasize who you are and why you're texting her. So if she forgets, she can look at that text message. And even better if you can fit in, you know, putting the ball in her court and being like, hey, you know, well, now we got each other's number. Feel free to text each other. Something like that, you know, don't make it awkward. Don't overthink it. But I texted her and, you know, it just like in person, she is really like interactive, but then over the phone, she's not interactive. You know, a phone lets you ignore people. In person, you can't ignore them because they're physically there. This is why it makes so much sense to me. I used to be getting game and stuff, and I would ask questions. I would listen. I would ask questions because I want complete clarity. And I would be like, huh. I would ask very interesting questions, or I would just make statements, and I would hope that they would correct me on them. The people that were telling me about game, like the like, I guess you could say OGs or old heads. And I had game, but they had game too. So it's like, I don't approach it like I know it all. I know a lot more than I probably, at the age I'm at, probably a lot more than what's expected, but I can still learn from people who are older, who have been doing it longer. And I would ask them, I'm like, you know, I noticed that when I'm not there physically, I get a lot more often, like I get ignored versus when I'm there physically. That's because a phone is easier to ignore somebody versus in person. When you're physically there, it's completely different. This is why if anyone tells you game, they're like, hey, you need to like hang out with her as fast as possible. Because think about it. The longer you text her, the longer she doesn't see you physically, the less of a physical thing you become to her. And I'm not talking sexually. I'm talking physically, like a physical person right in front of her. She starts seeing you as less of a person the longer you text her. You're just a speech bubble to her. She knows there's a person behind it, obviously, but she just starts seeing you as that. Just a speech bubble to read. The longer it goes on. That's why the point that I'm at now, because this girl right here, she wastes time. You know, it's to the point now where if I were to talk to a girl now, I'll talk to you, but I want to talk to you in person. And I'll outright say it too. I'd be like, I prefer we actually talk, you know, over, I wouldn't say a movie because you don't talk during a movie. You know, that's how you get kicked out. I can't really think of an example off the top of my head. I'm not gonna say a bar, but like, you know, a public setting where it's easy to just talk to each other and get to know each other. And I will just eventually tell her that, you know, it's nice texting you, but and you don't got to be a prick. Like, I know when I say these things, it could be interpreted in wrong ways. That's why I add stuff to it. When you do these things and you tell her these things, obviously don't be a prick about it. Obviously don't sit here and just be a donkey about it. You can say it in a respectful, composed way. I don't mind texting you because you're still going to need to text her anyways, even if you are seeing her. I'll even say I'd rather talk to you over the phone, over a voice call. I don't mind texting you, but I'd rather call. And then I'll be like, I'll basically be like, I want to like call you, but I can't really think of a good example right now because I'm not in the moment. But in the moment, you know, it comes to you. That's the point you'll get to, where it comes to you naturally, and then you can just do these things naturally. If I was in the moment right now with a girl, it would come naturally. I'd just be able to think of something. But if you're texting her for long periods of time, y'all haven't even hung out yet, you need to let her know what your intentions are and what you want to do. You have to let her know, because she's either going to play dumb, like she doesn't know why you're there, or she's just going to take advantage of it. I don't got to do any work. Nice. You know, is that wrong or right? That doesn't really matter. What matters is like what is happening. Right? And then and back to the story. Let me just tell that story, because I keep forgetting to bring it up. But basically, I had a good interaction with her in person, but the second it came down to like interacting over the phone, this girl was impossible, basically. And when she did respond, it was the most like, almost like to type each letter was a chore, basically. So what do you think I did? I just walked away, man. I just walked away. It's so weird. Like, I know that it's different, but the way I see it, if you can talk to me in person comfortably, you should definitely be able to text me. If you were shy in person, then I kind of expect you to text me a little bit easier, because now you don't have that pressure of me being there physically. Now you can get some more confidence because you're texting me over phone. That's how I am. When I was really shy, when I was like peak shy guy, if I could get you over text message, it was a little bit easier to text you because I wasn't there physically. I had time to think. I had time to process. Versus physically, it's on the spot. I was never good at on the spot stuff, but then I worked on that. This is the key to building game. You got to find your areas of weakness and then build on them, because those areas of weakness will be capitalized on by the people you're trying to date, especially if they're not good people. You know, I've said that I see people for people. I do. But that doesn't mean that there aren't bad people out there. It also doesn't mean that there's good people. That's why I wait until they show me signs. I don't just go in thinking every person is evil or thinking that every person is like bad. But yeah, she just like one letter responses or very short, brief answers that don't even keep the conversation going. You're carrying the whole conversation. I just walked away from that because I started getting annoyed. If a girl starts annoying me to that extent, I just stop talking to her. Because you got attitude problems. If I was somebody that you liked or somebody that you really wanted to be with, you wouldn't be acting like this towards me. And I don't deserve that. So I walk away. Like if you were being like that to her too, it makes sense. But if she has basically no attraction for you, there's no point carrying it further. You're just going to make it worse. It's only going to get worse, the situation, when you're talking to a female. Because she wants you to get the hint. You're not getting the hint, so now she's getting frustrated at you. And she's going to become even like bigger and bigger of the situation's going to get worse. It's never going to get better. You got to have the strength to walk away and say no to that situation. But I think that's all that I can think of right now. For building game. You know, you want to build that composure first, but you can only get that composure from exposure. You can tell yourself all day, oh, if a girl reject me, I'd be composed. Then it happens, and now you're angry at her. She's a real attractive girl. And you really wanted her, and you've been psyching yourself up, just amping yourself up in anticipation to ask her out. And she tells you no. Now you're angry. Don't look at me. I told you to expect it. I told you to get the exposure, not to just do it mentally. You can study it all you want. You get no exposure, you may as well be an amateur, a beginner. You may as well just be level 1. You're not you're level 1. I was going to say level 0, but you did the studying. So you're a level 1 with studying. But, you know, that's what you should work on now. Your composure, then exposure. And then you can develop the things that you prefer to do. That kind of separates you from everyone else. Things that give you a different kind of value. But with that being said, take what you need, leave what you don't. Turn to gold.